My name is Marcus. I'm from Houston, Texas. I lived in Austin though for a while. I went to Walsh Middle School. If you guys have any friends that went there. Right now, I do executive recruiting for a firm called Hydrogen Struggles. I live in Dallas. So if you guys want to ask any questions, go ahead.
All right. What led you to major in psychology?
Well, psychology wasn't my first choice, actually. It was actually biology. But I like to kind of learn about people's minds and kind of how they think. And so that's what led me to psychology. And I didn't really like biology because I was just learning about plants and, cells. And that was kind of boring. I wanted to learn how people thought.
Okay. Well, nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too. I like your hoodie.
What was going to an HBCU like?
It was great. So for those who don't know, HBCU stand for Historical Black Colleges and Universities. So being Black myself, it was great kind of being surrounded by everybody who kind of looked like me. It was really pivotal, and me meeting a lot of friends and a lot of professors. I would say that the culture was very strong and allowed me to be expressive of myself and kind of learn a lot about who I am and what I like to do.
Thank you. Hi.
How are you doing?
Okay. What do you do as an associate at an executive recruiting firm?
So at an executive recruiting firm, for those of you who don't know, basically we recruit the top people in all your favorite companies. So you guys know Apple, right?
Yes.
So Apple, there's a person who runs Apple, and that's called the Chief Executive Officer. They're kind of like the boss of Apple over everybody in Apple. And so to get those type of jobs, they don't just kind of post them online. They hire people like me. And what I do is I basically go on the internet or I go in person and I interview people, kind of like you guys are doing to me now, except I ask the questions, kind of like a job interview. And I find a bunch of people that Apple might want to be their boss. And then Apple will say, okay, we want that guy to be their boss. So what I do is I bring Apple a bunch of people for them to look at after I've asked them a bunch of questions and determine if they're right for the job. And then Apple kind of selects them. So we do that for not just Apple, but for like a lot of different companies. Some companies you guys have heard of, some others that you guys probably don't even know. But just name a few, like Apple, you guys know Shell gas station, right? We work with Shell gas station, Facebook, and some other clothing brands too. So that's essentially what I do.
That's really cool.
This is number 4. Did you experience racism in middle school?
In middle school, not so much. I think around our ISD is really good, a lot of diversity. So a lot of people don't really have too much racism. Like I said, I went to Walsh, which maybe if you guys know, I don't know how far it is away from you guys' school, but it's not a lot of racism. But I did first experience racism in elementary school. A story I'll tell you guys is one time I went to school in Harker Heights. I don't know if you guys know where that is. It's Killeen. It's kind of probably about an hour north of where you guys are at now. And I had a teacher in second grade tell me that I couldn't read a certain book because I don't look like I could read. And I was only in second grade, obviously reading. It was a Magic Treehouse book, if you guys know what that is. And obviously I could read it. But she took the book out of my hand and said that that book wasn't for me. And that made me feel really bad. I went home and told my mom, and my mom came up to school. I had a few words with the teacher, and then I got out of that class. But that was one time I experienced racism in elementary school.
Thank you. How has the pandemic affected your job?
That's a great question. It affected my job a lot. So I was supposed to start my job in August of 2020, but because of the pandemic, that start date got pushed back all the way to January of 2021. So 6 months of basically me not being able to work at my job now. So I had to find other things to do. Like I did Uber Eats, I did DoorDash, I worked at like HEB and stuff like that just to keep busy while I waited for my job now to start. So the pandemic definitely affected it. And now also, like I said, I do interviews, and a lot of those interviews used to be in person, but now they're kind of like we're doing now. So they're all on Zoom and all on video. We can't really go into the office anymore and have face-to-face meetings. So that's one downside, but I get to stay at home and have my own personal space. So that's always cool.
Thank you.
Great.
So hi, yeah.
Hi.
What kind of music did you label on your studio trends to product?
So we traditionally do like a lot of hip hop, a lot of R&B. We do some rock and roll, some pop, but mainly like hip hop and pop.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
So what kind of software and what kind of technology do you use to produce your music?
So right now, my favorite DAW is what we call it. I use is Pro Tools. I don't know if you guys know what Pro Tools is. It's a really high tech music production computer system, but I also use Fruity Loops. And if any of you guys are interested in kind of learning about music or music production, I suggest that's a good place to start. Fruity Loops or GarageBand. I'm also do DJing on the side, and so I use Serato DJ Studio for that, and that's a really good program.
All right, thank you.
Of course.
How did COVID affect your college experience?
It affected it a lot, probably more than my job. So as you guys know, COVID started in February, March of 2020. So then I was a senior year of college, and I was looking to, kind of end the year with like a bunch of, don't tell your teacher, but senioritis. When you guys get to high school, you might have that, a lot of parties and like fun stuff, graduation, and then COVID kind of cut that short. So I wasn't able to walk across the stage all the way until the next year in 2021. I wasn't able to see my friends again. So what happened was my school went on spring break around the first week of March. And if you guys remember, that's kind of when a lot of the COVID stuff happened. And so I went on spring break and I never went back to school. So I was never able to see my friends. So I haven't seen some of them since the pandemic happened. So it affected a lot, but there's always silver linings to things. I got to do online class and things like that after March, but it ultimately it didn't allow me to walk across the stage in 2020, and it made all my classes go remote after that.
All right, thank you.
Are there any like big names that you've produced music for, like your studio?
Not too big that you guys would know. I don't know if you guys know who Paul Wall is. Maybe your parents are like Baby Bash, some older people. Nobody that you guys would know. I'm still working on that. So if you guys have any recommendations, like who's the big artist that you guys would want to see in the studio? Like who would you want to see in the studio? If I could ask you.
Yeah, what kind of music do you guys like? What artists do you think?
I like Doja Cat.
She said Doja Cat.
Imagine Dragons.
He said Imagine Dragons.
Imagine Dragons, Doja Cat, okay.
What else?
Tyler the Creator.
Like Tyler Creator, okay.
I don't even know what they listen to because they're always so popular.
No, those are all great suggestions. So I'll definitely try to get some of those names in there. I think it might be a little hard, so maybe in like a year or two, I'll come back to you guys and hopefully I'll have Doja Cat or Tyler Creator in the studio.
Wait, do you create your own music, or do you just like take other people's music and maybe like do a little changes, and then just like put it into your studio's name, or what?
Yeah, so there's kind of different levels of music production. So there's kind of like what you're saying, maybe that's kind of like recording.
Yeah.
So I do recording, but I also do some production. And there's also a thing called mixing and mastering. So the recording is kind of on initial, like let's say you want to record a song, you would come into our studio and I would help you, record that song, put it on the beat, and make it kind of sound nice. And then there's kind of the mixing and mastering part, which is where I also do that too, which is where I kind of fix your voice, maybe put some auto-tune on it so you sound like a little robotic, or maybe I put some different types of things on your voice so it just sounds really nice and it sounds really clear. Not that you probably don't have a nice voice already, but that's kind of what mixing and mastering is. And then there's actual music production, which is where you're kind of making the beat itself. You're playing the guitar, you're playing the piano, everything. I don't do too much of that. I play piano a little bit, so I can work my way around the keyboard. But I have a producer at my studio who actually makes all the beats themselves, and sometimes artists come in and they'll put vocals on that beat, or they'll try to change up the beat themselves.
Okay, I have one more question. Sorry.
Okay.
Are you the owner of this like place, or like?
Actually, I started with 3 friends that I met in middle school. So those middle school connections, they don't go away, guys. So I started with 3 friends I met in middle school, and we all own it, so there's 4 owners, and I'm part of that. And we opened last year, around this time last year, so we've been in business for about a year now.
Okay. Thank you.
What's something that you think is integral to celebrating Black History Month?
Integral to celebrate Black History Month. Honestly, for me, I think it's just kind of teaching people about Black history. I think that's the way I celebrate it the most. It's literally Black History Month, so every time I have the opportunity to kind of tell somebody that they don't even have to be non-Black. There's some Black people that don't know about something that I knew, and so I love to just teach people about different things, different aspects of Black history, and let them really know to kind of embrace the month and what it really is.
Awesome. Thank you. Who are some of your Black History Month role models?
Role models. I would say, let's see, Michael Jordan is up there. He's just kind of one of the people that I admire the most, and just how he was able to transcend sports and be seen as something else. LeBron James. I'm a big basketball fan. Barack Obama, obviously, he's up there. Colin Powell, I respect him a lot. I don't know who that is. He was the first Black 5-star general in the Army. And let's see, I should probably name one of the presidents actually of Morehouse College. His name is Benjamin Elijah Mays. He's one of my favorite role models. He was the 5th president of Morehouse College for about 20 years, and he was actually the president when Martin Luther King Jr. went to the school. And he helped him kind of develop into the young man that we all know today. So those are a lot of those are my top 4, Black history role models, and hopefully I shared something you guys didn't know.
Thank you.
Of course.
But what's your favorite movie genre or movie?
My favorite movie genre, that's a good question. I would say probably action. I love a good action movie. One of my favorite movies of all time is this movie. It's called Raid 2. I don't know if you guys should watch it, but it's a really good action movie. It's jam-packed. It's about it's based in Japan, and it's about like a Japanese cop who has to go undercover and infiltrate like this dangerous crime mob, and it's like karate filled and a lot of action. Yeah, I love that movie. My favorite movie franchise though is Fast and the Furious. I love Fast and Furious. I watch all of them. I was probably like a little bit younger than y'all when the first one came out, and I've watched everyone. I'm waiting for the new one to come out, so I'm excited.
Thank you.
What's your favorite color?
Green.
Awesome.
I love green.
Anything else?
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.